Forget what they told you in Sunday school. God's not mad at you. You don't have to make America great again. And your spirituality doesn't have to look anything like theirs. Welcome to Evangelicalish with Paul and Ashley. We're untangling and unlearning what harms, reclaiming what heals, and searching for a new kind of 21st century spirituality.
That we are.
Hey, good morning.
We're doing all those things. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm just sending a special note to Doug and Art because they were here on time. We were not, but just a hair late, as we like to say in the biz.
They say in the biz, you're a hair late. That's like,
well, I used to always say that to my staff when I was at the city. I would text them, I'm a hair late, which was code for I'm still doing my hair.
Right. So
anyway.
For that, can we call you a Jezebel, as is the topic of our show today?
Okay. Well played. Well played. JezziBelle. Like sometimes I watch these reality TV shows on Bravo and there's always a round of like, what would your stripper name be? And I think JezziBelle would be like the best stripper name. Wouldn't it be?
That's where our title of our pod episode came today. Is you, JezziBelle is your stripper name.
You liked my idea. Hey, I'm going to tell you real quick. Your sound does not sound right. You sound like you're not mic'd.
Because I don't really have a good microphone to use. I'm using.
So do you want to use your AirPods? Folks who are listening can put in the chat if they can hear Paul. Okay. I personally think you sound like you're kind of in a faraway cave.
Yeah. I don't know that I have another option in this new world. But yeah, I guess I could try AirPods.
Okay. Doug will love to say
on this side. Okay. Thanks, Doug.
All right.
For those of you, particularly if you're listening on the audio podcast, we do this live streamed on Sunday mornings. And so when we say, oh, he's saying, or that we're talking about our friends in the live chat, and we encourage you to join us 9 a.m. Pacific time, Sunday mornings. We have a little community that chats while the show's going on, and the chats go running on the screen, and we pop them up every once in a while. So join us.
It is fun. I have to tell, it is so much fun. Like I missed last week, and I'm gonna tell the dramatic version of the story of last week, but I missed hanging out with you and our folks who join us on the live stream. So yeah, if you're listening to this on audio and have never tried seeing us live at 9 a.m. Pacific on Sundays, it's super fun in the chat. And I loved the camaraderie too among people who are talking to each other in the chat. Sometimes they're like having a way better conversation than you and I are.
It's true.
Then I go, oh, never mind. I don't want to talk to Paul. I want to talk to the people in the chat.
And then we lose you on the podcast because you're like reading the comments.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oh yeah. River Hugger says caveman sounds like a good partner for JezziBelle. So when I said you sounded like you were in a cave, we could be caveman and JezziBelle. Could be our alter
Captain
egos.
Caveman. Wasn't that a cartoon character when we were kids?
Yes, actually it was. I had forgotten that.
Yeah. Although my favorite, if we ever go to Hong Kong Phooey, was by far my favorite cartoon character.
Yeah, I'm a Wonder Dog gal. I mean, that was just
Wonder Dog or Underdog?
Love dogs. Oh, Underdog. Yeah,
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Underdog. Yeah. And do you know what's funny is, so I loved that cartoon when I was a kid because I absolutely love dogs. Always have. My mom likes to tell the story of like when we got a puppy when I was like 2.5, 3 years old. That dog brought me out of my shell. Like, there's a whole traumatic backstory there. We'll save that for another time. Anyway, but Underdog, loved it. As a kid, I didn't know the meaning of the word underdog. I just thought it was like, and I dressed up as underdog for Halloween, all this kind of stuff. Fast forward all these years. Do you know what I always say about the things I like to do professionally? It's like, I like to get down with the underdog and figure out how to help that underdog to like beat everyone's expectations, which is kind of explains my history of working in local government in California Central Valley. It's like, this is absolutely the underdog of all underdogs. So anyway, it's all making sense to me.
Ah, very good.
Bow tied. So do you want to hear the dramatic version
let me just say, tying into our topic today, which we'll get to in a bit, sweet Polly purebred. I'm teaching a intro to journalism class now at our local community college. And one of the things we talk about is the portrayal of women as damsels in distress, as prizes to be won, as objects to be stolen. And unfortunately, underdog is one of those. But also, let me tell you, Hong Kong Phooey was a dog. So just so you know.
I know, but for some reason, when I was a kid, I did not connect as much with Hong Kong Phooey as I did with underdog.
Yeah, I loved him because he was like, for one, Scatman Crothers did the voice, and I loved the voice, And but then he would always he was a total screw up idiot, and his cat would save the day, and then he'd be like, "My superpowers are so amazing, I didn't even see myself. Catch the criminal."
That's true. You're reminding me. That's so funny. Oh my God, that was a good impersonation.
Loved it.
Hey, I have 2 weeks worth of energy bottled up for this show today because I missed last week, which is why I'm a little extra spring in my step. So I did this earlier to show the folks watching video. This is Doug asks, is it the archery bow? No, I have had that happen in camp when I was in junior high. This is a blood draw gone wrong.
So you have a very nasty bruise on your right.
It is
just above the crook of your elbow.
It is about a 3-inch by 2-inch black bruise. And this is I could probably make a 2-hour full motion picture dramatic film about what happened last weekend. I will do the short version. I've told this story now a number of times in a number of different ways. Here's the basic bottom line of this. I go to yoga Thursday night, 90-minute hot yoga class. I then come home, shower, do what I do every night. I sit on my computer on the couch doing email for about 3 hours. I caught up on a bunch of stuff Thursday night. I like to go into the weekend, caught up. Friday, she wears flats to work. Doesn't have arch supports in. But they're comfortable. No problem. Then I go get a pedicure Friday afternoon. And I notice during the salt scrub portion of the pedicure, my left leg felt like it was on fire. I was like, God, my pedicurist is going to town on exfoliation today. What is up? Then my leg is falling asleep and I can't get it to wake up. It is that way all Friday night. We have friends over for dinner. I can't even sit through the meal. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know what's going on. My leg won't wake up. I go to sleep Saturday morning. Now this leg has been asleep for 18 hours and I can't walk on it. I go to a bridal shower because I'm going to go to this family event. I sit for another 2 hours. I can hardly get up. I have to be escorted out of the bridal shower. I talk to friends in the medical community. They say, probably slipped disc or what? No, a bulging disc. You're going to need an MRI. Don't go to ER. It's not worth it. But if it gets worse, go to MRI or ER. I wake up Sunday morning. Now this numbing tingling has been going on since Friday afternoon. It is entirely up my left leg, in my butt and pelvic region on the left and the right foot. So I think to myself, this thing's traveling. I'm going to ER. So I thought I was going in for an MRI, would find out I have a bulging disc, get referred, start the week going to, figure out diagnosis, treatment, whatever.
Yeah, we know ER takes some time, but you'll go, it'll be a long process, and then you'll come home and
because either I'm going to spend all day just on bed rest at home, or I'm going to spend it in ER, and at least I'll end the day with the diagnostic tool I need to get treatment. Otherwise, I could wait weeks for MRIs and insurance.
Let me insert here, and this is why we did not have a podcast last Sunday, right?
Yes. So Saturday night, I told Paul, I can't stand up. I have to go to ER in the morning. So then turns into a 3-day, 2-night hospital stay. The MRIs, I ended up getting 3. the MRIs are coming back on my spine. Everything's like, nothing's really wrong. Like you have age appropriate disc degeneration, but it wouldn't present these symptoms. And mind you, now I'm still numb. I can't walk. I'm on bed rest, all this. So anyway, by Monday morning, I get a little better. Tuesday, I'm about halfway, symptoms have subsided, but we still don't know what's going on. They have to test me for all these neurological diseases, thus the blood work. So anyway, long story. I leave the hospital feeling better, but not sure what is wrong. I go to a private physical therapist on Thursday. A guy I had heard about is like the miracle worker and doesn't take insurance, just in case this is in fact, they have some like exercise injuries on the left side. So I'm like, maybe it's related. And the doctors are like, no, it's not severe enough in your x-rays, your MRIs. But I'm like, I'm still going to PT, see if this guy can figure something out. He presses on like 5 places in my back left hip, my SI joint, turns me over, has me squeeze my knees together. My pelvis pops back into place and I instantly start feeling better. Mm-hmm. So we think, we have to chase this all the way, but we think it's SI joint and not neurological. So now let me recap this story. I go to yoga. I sit on the couch. I get a pedicure. I go to the hospital. I have probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tests. I bother my medical friends who are like vacationing in Peru. Like I like all this stuff. And then it's like this 5-minute, like dot. I'm like, oh.
So. Yeah. You're lucky. Some of your best friends are doctors and you can just reach out to them. And you're even able to, now that medical records are online, you were able to show them like,
yeah.
Your test
all
results.
These folks could just like log in and be like, and they were reading the stuff while the doctors in the hospital were as well. So it was like everyone was saying the same thing. Yeah, I definitely felt a lot of care and support. And oh my goodness gracious, the dedication and talent and genius of medical, like frontline medical workers, it just blows me away. Their compassion, their professionalism. It was a wonder to see.
Yeah, and it was scary, and I'm glad you're okay. And I never feel like we're old people, but now that we're talking about this much like medical care and health, this is what old people talk about.
I know. You know what? And especially if you add, and we talk about the weather. It's like we talk about our health and the weather. So we have crossed the threshold. So.
Which I was like just waking up in bed the other day and all of a sudden sat up and like, oh shit, I'm about to turn 60.
Yeah.
60 fucking. You say that like, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you are. That's right. You are.
I just don't. Yeah, I'll be 60 in September. And I don't think any of us in our household even realized it. Like, oh, wow, that's like.
I know. I think I was thinking.
In my life, imagine being 60 years old.
I was thinking 59. And I definitely would, like, to me, 5s and 0s, like stop and do something, big. And then it's like, oh my God, we have a big birthday next month. What are we going to do? We are in the middle of 3 family weddings within like 6 months. I mean, it's just a lot going on.
And a total house renovation, which is why I'm here instead of in my usual spot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the journey that we've been on. We can talk a little bit more maybe at the end of the show about our celebrating our 31st wedding anniversary this week, etc. But I suppose we should jump into our topic.
We should.
Because it's a juicy doozy.
Yeah, the Jezebel spirit.
Out, thou fail spirit.
Christians love the Jezebel spirit because it's just a weapon you can use so easily. And everybody's like, ooh, you don't want to be the Jezebel spirit. But I think we need to rethink Jezebel. Because, right-wing Christian nationalists, they love to talk about Jezebel. She's a warning label for any woman that gets too big for her britches, as our grandparents might have said. It's all about promiscuous women who wear lots of makeup and jewelry. And, that Jezebel spirit. It's so scary to tough alpha males. But I'm going to tell you, Jezebel's, as I've been doing some research on Jezebel, there's a different story to be told there. But how about, should I start with the Mark Driscoll, the favorite pastor of everyone
Before you
in
do,
America?
I want to just like I'm thinking about how this Jezebel character and the Jezebel spirit got presented to me in my evangelical upbringing, and I feel like there was a little bit of an evolution. I can remember sort of maybe grade school, junior high-ish, definitely knew that that bitch was a whore, like obviously. And the sexual promiscuity was the thing that was like, you don't want to be Jezebel. But then I feel like that,
Can I say, when I was a kid, it was always
yeah,
about painting up your face. You don't want to paint
yeah,
up your face,
yeah,
women, with
that's
Jezebel.
right. That's what I mean. It's like I had those same kind of representations made as well. And so I didn't really know. I mean, it was like polite company in like Baptist church in 6th grade. You're not going to get a lot of sordid detail, but I definitely was presented with this image of like, okay, she's a whore. Like she's a prostitute, and that's what being a Jezebel spirit is. But then I feel like it expanded in the sort of, I would say in our charismatic Christendom circles, it became like not just the sex worker, but the spirit of, you know what I mean? Like, say a little bit more about how that is presented these days before we watch these.
Well, I think
blessed
if you watch
clips.
the video, it'll help you understand how it's presented,
Okay.
and then we can talk
Okay,
about
fine.
the evolution of it.
Fine.
So this is Mark Driscoll has written a book about the 29 signs of the Jezebel spirit. Mark Driscoll is a very famous pastor.
Yeah.
And this is, so he's really on this Jezebel spirit these days. And so let's hear what Marky D has to say about Jezebel.
Man versus a woman, the man is guilty until proven innocent.
What's happening here? What's happening here?
Proven guilty. And she'll use that to her advantage.
There we go.
A man versus a woman, the man is guilty until proven innocent, and the woman is innocent until proven guilty. And she'll use that to her advantage. And if she doesn't get the outcome she wants, she'll go on the internet, because all the Jezebels are on the internet, and then create some sort of coalition. And together, now you have the equivalent of a demonic legion. The Jezebel spirit is fiercely independent, manipulative, controlling, and very unrepentant. If you confront the Jezebel spirit, they will fight back. And if they feel like they're losing, they will change the conversation to where they are a victim and you have abused them. And they're very hurt and very emotional. And what the Jezebel spirit knows is if it's a woman who then is declaring war on a man, it puts the man in a lose-lose position. Because if she attacks him and he fights back, see, he's mean, he's domineering, he's overbearing, he's a bully. Me too. And if he just takes it and tolerates it, she'll control and dominate.
So
God damn.
That's the Jezebel spirit. And they put it in the spirit realm. But note, he's talking about women who have power in a marriage.
That's right. I wrote these words down. The key words, the indicators are they're independent, they have control, and they dominate. That is the new version. It used to just be a promiscuous woman. Now it is an independent person who's not under control.
A woman who doesn't know her place and is emasculating the man in her life, because Mark Driscoll's thing is, if you have a bad violent man in your life, woman, then you need a good violent man to come in and save you, because you are sweet Polly purebred, an object to be fought over and stolen. And it's what makes this Jezebel thing so interesting is, she's depicted in Hebrew scripture as, leading King Ahab into worship of a demonic being and all of these things. She's not really portrayed as promiscuous in the Bible at all. That all comes out of the fact that she was a Phoenician woman, and Phoenician women were known to wear makeup and jewelry and a lot of adornment. But the Bible itself never says she was promiscuous in any way.
Interesting.
And so she was a Phoenician princess. So here's something we never think about in this. It's very likely Jezebel was given by her dad, a king in Phoenicia, to Ahab as a part of a negotiation. And she was probably preteen when that happened.
Wow.
And so a young girl, not a woman, a girl, a child, is sent to a foreign land. It's not like they had the internet then and you knew anything about where you were going. And she was given as an item of negotiation between two kings to be married to a man who was a sovereign, all powerful guy.
Right.
In Israel,
A god, literally.
a god. And she knew
Yeah.
nothing about the culture, the religion. And she goes, and think about this, then this poor girl, this victim of a patriarchal, horrendously anti-woman society, is a pretty smart bitch. She exerts huge influence over the nation. And the Bible paints her again as very evil. And, she did some of the things that are there. She did evil, but the things that are as being evil, how often in the Bible for a man to do are shown to be good? Like he violently wiped out his enemies. Wasn't he an awesome king? She does these things and is painted as a horrendous, controlling, terrible person. But I think when you take that context and say, a girl sent to a foreign land to be married to a man she doesn't know because her dad gave her away as a negotiation object, you can look and say, gosh, pretty amazing young woman.
Yes.
To grow up to be that
tremendous person. Skill and faculty and presence. Oh my God. Yeah. Like a badass.
And so today, she's used as a gender weapon. She's used as a catch-all villain in right-wing Christianity. We've heard so many people in our lives talk about the Jezebel spirit, and it's almost always like a woman trying to exert some power into a situation. Did you even see Mark Driscoll do the "Me Too" with the air quotes?
For sure. If
a woman saying she's been assaulted is a Jezebel spirit. And it's getting, in the past, it has been in Christianity that a woman in a relationship with a man cannot be sexually assaulted. And we're kind of getting back to that. Woman, you have to give sex to your man, or else, you get what you deserve. And then, of course, she's used as a symbol of women like Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, queer and trans people, and just a basic cultural boogeyman now.
I can't.
What does that make you feel? You've been an elected official. You've been a powerful person in our community. What does that make you feel?
First of all, I just want to take note of my badge of honor from being in the hospitals on full display in this particular posture that I'm showing on camera right now. For those that are listening to audio, I'm getting so much attention for my big bad bruise on my arm. Okay.
Can I side road with that and just say that's not because you have tender skin. It was a little bit of an untrained phlebotomist, right?
I know. She's like, oopsie, blah, 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 blah. And then she dropped a vial of blood on the floor. She's like, well, it's just plastic.
Where's another vial of blood?
But I think there was another vial. Paul was there when this happened. Okay. So this has been my journey. Honestly, I've had many, many, many therapy sessions over the last 4 years. And one of the main themes that keeps coming forward is the effect of misogyny and gender norm, blah, 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 on my family line, the women in my family, and how that affected me. And to try to keep it short and succinct, I'll just say it this way. I grew up with two parents, and for sure my mom, and I'm so grateful for them and for this. I grew up in the South in the 80s, but I had a protective shield around me. I had a mother who did not want any of these like anti-female trad wife kind of stereotypes to land on me. But I was in that culture anyway. So it was like I had a mom who was messaging that I could do anything. I was for sure going to go to college, very career focused, etc. But I'm still in this overall culture. And so so I grow up having the expectation is a little bit of the bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan, a little bit of the, like I should be able to do it all. And I want my career, but I can't have my career if I'm not also a perfect mom, because mom and home is the best and most important thing. And so, as long as that's okay and everything's kind of functioning on the home front, then you can go outside of the home and have some kind of like independent work life. So I have that internalized. My mom was very, 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 very angry all the time. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but I've started to understand one of the reasons is because it was like, this is a multi-generational thing for the women in my family. She was on fire with rage at the way she was treated because she was female.
Yeah.
And as I have unpacked that and understood, that is so much aware. But anyway, so when you have a mom who's like raging out as a kid, you're trying to manage for that. So
Right.
I kind of take the opposite point of view, like, hey, mom, settle down. It's not that big of a deal. Just do what they say. I mean, obviously, I'm not articulating these things as like a young adult or whatever, but it's what's going on for me. I learn how to manage in this complicated world of like, look like you're doing the part over here, but then sneak off and have the career over here. Like I learned this. I learned be flexible and navigate and be facile and how you kind of get away with it. All right. Plus, we end up in California in my teens where this influence is definitely less. So all this to say, I sort of thought my mom was ridiculous for acting out in so many of the ways that she did. And she was, I mean, in a healthier environment and in a place where she was getting the help she needed, she wouldn't have handled things the way she did. But the sentiment was absolutely right. So
Yep.
as I have learned about this and put this together in my own life and realized the effects of this culture and messaging that was all around me, I am getting actually angrier. I am like only just now waking up to the wait, what? Wait a second.
I don't think you ever realized how much of this you faced when you were in office.
No, I didn't.
And maybe that's a blessing. Maybe that was helpful at the time, but.
And then now, and so now it's like the blinders are being pulled back, and I'm looking even at things today that are happening in our community for people who are watching that, live in and around Fresno, the Central Valley area. There's some local political debates going on, and the sort of Fresno manosphere, which is my new favorite thing to say, this little like man chattering class, angry right-wing media world, their hatred of like the people are, it's all these women who are like trying to do something kind of different. And so and those folks have been doing this for a long time since I've been in civic and public life. So now I'm seeing it differently. I'm seeing it much differently. So now I have a choice to make, and I'll stop with this here. So I have this inner conflict. Now that I am more aware of this, what do I do about it? Because part of me is like, use your voice, be angry, blah, 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 like lioness, roar as loud as you can. And the other part, like the strategic part of me is like, I'm not really sure where that goes. I'm like having like, I have lived a lifetime and it has worked of just knowing how to navigate and head down, get the work done. And ultimately that wins the day. So I'm a little bit of like inner conflict on all this conversation. Does that make sense?
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. But it's interesting to me, like our current president, he will call Jasmine Crockett low IQ, AOC, low IQ.
Right.
He'll call Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. And then I saw him asked about Bernie Sanders the other day, and he's like, oh, he's really smart. He's really smart. Like, so it's just so blatant. But I think when in Christianity, you don't realize just you are literally the frog in the pot. You don't realize what you're doing. Oh, ladies are going to put the potluck together for us now, those kind of things. And I was in a role play in my master's program for therapy the other day, or I was one of the observers, but it was in the role play, the therapy clients were a man and a woman, and it kept coming around to like the man had been traumatized by his mother, and so when his significant other, female spouse, would act out, he would shrink, and so it kept being kind of around this, like, if she wouldn't act that way, I wouldn't respond like this. And after it was over, then they always asked the observers to share, and I was like, boy, I really felt like it was aimed at if I didn't have this emotional woman around.
Yeah.
And so, then this wouldn't happen. And that's very much a misogynistic stereotype. And we need to get away from that in therapy. And so the professor asked the female participant did you feel that way? And she's like, she kind of stopped and she's like, no, I didn't, but I probably should have. Like, she didn't even realize it was happening, that she was being given these very negative feminine characteristics, because we're so used to it and socialized to it. Like you said, it's like, oh, come on, just,
go along. Just go
along. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And when it really, really, really
is.
Like,
really is.
Yeah. Like Mike Pence refusing to meet one-on-one with a woman. I'm like, hey, Mikey, that's a you problem. You're putting women at a disadvantage because you can't stop from trying to look down their blouse. Like, come on. That's a you issue. Now, why this is important also is, I think there is a lot of like, oh, we're better than we used to be, or it's important to note, and I know you hate to like go into the rage stuff, but we do need to know these people, Project 2025, Christian Nationalists, this is their view of womanhood. This is their view of females. And if you don't believe me, there's a pastor becoming very famous, and he was on CNN this week. His name is Doug Wilson. He oversees a network of 130 churches. One of his congregants is Pete Hegseth, the drunk Fox News host who's now in charge of all of our defense, all of our military. And just listen to what Doug Wilson has to say about women in this interview. It's about 2 minutes long, so if it gets long, we'll stop it. But I think it's important to hear, this is not a one-off. Mark Driscoll's not a one-off. This is how right-wing Christian nationalists see womanhood.
Let's say 130 guys in a submarine with 3 women on it. Okay, so let's put 130 horny sailors and 3 women and submerge them out in the middle of the Atlantic for 2.5 months. What could go wrong? So I'd say, come on.
So, like right there, why don't you just tell the 100? Those on audio don't see Ashley giving the double bird to the camera, but why don't you just tell the 130 horny sailors, just because you're horny doesn't mean you get to attack a woman? I mean, like, maybe if no woman is on there, they'll have sex with each other. Is that better, Pastor Wilson? Would you approve of that more?
You have a patriarchal view of how society should be.
Sure. Yeah. There's certain places that ought to be male-only spaces, and either the secular egalitarian worldview will prevail, or a patriarchal Christian worldview will prevail.
So and I'm stopping it for a second here. It's a war. In their mind, it's a war. We're either going to be an egalitarian society, or we're going to be a Christian society. There is no compromise between the two.
Can I ask a ignorant question? What does egalitarian mean here?
So, patriarchal is the male is in charge. Hierarchical, it's the opposite of hierarchy. Egalitarian is we're a team, we're working together, we're equal.
Okay. Oh, God forbid. God forbid we have that, right?
No, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? All right, back to the CNN reporter talking to Pastor Doug Wilson.
do you believe men and women are equal in society?
Well, they are in our society, but they're not equal in the world.
There is a poster of the cover of a book, and it says, "It's good to be a man."
If a boy acts like a boy in school, we hit him on the head with a chemical rock. We don't know how to discipline them. We don't know how to make boys stand up straight. We don't know how to make them work hard. You have to train girls to be women, and you have to train boys to be men.
I stopped the video again to say, could train there be replaced with indoctrinate or socialize? Maybe those are standards somebody made up to benefit men. I don't know. Back to the video.
Yeah.
Would you endorse punishing someone who is gay in the America you want to be living in?
I began ministering in 1977, and sodomy was a felony in all 50 states. That America of that day was not a totalitarian hellhole.
So you would like America to go back to that?
Yep. I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world.
In society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
Oh, wow.
So you just think they're meant to have babies. That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue for you?
No, it's not automatically an issue.
Wow. So you haven't seen that before?
No, but I had heard about it. Like, this is that clip. Women are people who people come out of. I've heard people talking about that this week. I was like, what are you guys talking about? And then you mentioned, so that is definitely the part that sticks, I think. But all of it does. But anyway,
And again, I don't want to just be rage baiting with that.
Yeah, I know.
There is a real, and I knew this as a pastoral leader in our evangelicalism, that this existed. You know, we tried to put the nicest face on it we could, but women are equal, men are just a little bit more equal, and it's really evil. And there is a mindset in Christian nationalism. It's becoming very much voiced out. The incel manosphere is picking it up that women ought to be baby makers and dinner makers, and that's it. And the world would be a much better place. And they see womanhood as a second-class citizen, although they would never say that out loud. And thus, a man who is gay or trans is choosing to be a lesser person than the man he's supposed to be trained up to be. And this is their view of the world. Like, let's stop women from voting. Can you believe anybody is saying that out loud in 2025 and not being drubbed out of society for it?
Yeah, I think the isms, one of my friends and former therapists would talk about sort of the isms of humankind and condition, like racism, sexism, these big structural whatever. People who are more expert and trained would have good words on this, but like the I guess these are just like these systems that are set up for power and oppression, and like some people win and others lose out, right? Like the isms. I'm reconciling this, that it's just like, how, like, what do you do? Like, it's seeing it. I think because, like, again, I grew up in a household where it was like I kind of lived in two worlds, and I had a path forward for education, advancement, da 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 da. Didn't, obviously ended up in a life partnership with a person who was not subscribed to all this nonsense and la 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 la. So like I'm on this path and I can like do my individual life and be okay. And then you see the aquarium you're living in, you see the water all of a sudden, go, oh my God, I'm taking in, I'm breathing this as a fish in this, I'm breathing it all the time. What do I do? And I think the thing I reconcile is like, I don't exactly know how to get out of this water, but what I do know is putting words on, seeing it and declaring it's not benign is a starting point.
Right.
It's not benign. It's there because like everybody would probably be like, yeah, we see it. But a lot of people in my world would be like, well, but don't make ruffles, just don't ruffle feathers. And I think the next step is to just say, let's challenge that thought that we can somehow just go along and get along. And let's just declare it's not benign. Don't really know what comes next, but let's say that out loud together.
I totally agree. And there was a lot of, Trump says a lot of crazy things, but he's never going to do those things. I'm just voting for cheaper eggs. And
yes,
you're not just voting for cheaper eggs. You're voting for a guy like Doug Wilson to be in the president's faith council, like to have direct access to the president of the United States who wants to pander to him because he represents a big voting bloc. And that is a real danger. The Christians talk about overturning Roe v. Wade as being about saving babies. And I do believe some like truly believe that. Some truly
for
believe
sure.
that.
Totally.
But I don't know if I can say as much, but at a certain level, it's about abortion giving women freedom, to be promiscuous. And I'm not saying that's true, but that's a belief system. Like, she can go have sex now because if she gets pregnant, she doesn't have to pay the consequences for that. And this is, we're seeing the rights of women rolled back at a huge level that I never thought possible in the United States. And I even cut out the part of Pastor Wilson talking about how we really vilify the slave owners, and yes, slavery was bad, but some of them were really good people who took care of their slaves. They weren't cruel to the slaves. And that is really dangerous language.
My God.
By rote, if you own another person, you are a terrible person. That should just be a truth, period.
I cannot believe that man did an interview with CNN and said all this. Like that tells you he feels very safe and proud and comfortable being like, yeah, this is me. This is it. This like it is unveiling and revealing like all the quiet parts, all the shit under the surface. Like we're living in a major season of like, pull the covers back. There it all is.
Yeah.
It's not subsided. It has reproduced. It is, it's,
well, I cut out the parts where he, so his church network is growing at an unbelievable rate. And he kept saying like, the country is coming to my beliefs. Like my beliefs are becoming mainstream. And he was bragging about how his church has doubled since COVID. It's doubled in size since COVID, and it continues to grow at an incredible rate. So this is a real present threat to human beings in America. And so, like let's go back to where you were before. Like, okay, what do we do? We're putting it out to the world. This is real. This is happening. This is who people like Mike Johnson, our Speaker of the House, these are their beliefs.
Wait, let me ask you this.
Even women like Nancy Mace or Katie Britt, who are senators they believe this.
Right. Oh, yeah. But is Mike Johnson affiliated with this Pastor Wilson's church network?
No, I thought so, but he's with a very similar.
Similar. Okay.
Seven Mountains, kind of. Women are submissive in the household, kind of a religion. And he's the Speaker of the House. It's not that long ago. Somebody saying the things that Mike Johnson says. I'm Moses. My son and I do use porn software to keep eyes on each other. Those would have been he would have been laughed out of office. But now they're being raised up to the highest positions of our country, which is pretty scary. So what we do is there has to be a point where we agree, no, this is wrong. It's wrong to believe that way. You are believing something that's wrong. And the interview drove me crazy because I was like, push back on this guy, push. And she never did. Which maybe just she wanted to get the information out there, but
yeah. Well, I mean, the part you showed, she was asking some follow-ups to just get him to keep talking. So I don't want to fault the reporter right now. I mean, I think she uncovered a big pile of shit, and that's pretty damn badass.
But I do also think sometimes these interviews normalize these guys. If you watch the whole interview, there are moments when he sounds like a very normal person. But yes, so I think it starts with, let's agree this is bad. And it's actually exposing something, again, that you and I were socialized to that we didn't even realize was a thing. You, as a female mayor of a big city, didn't even realize how much you were being patronized by the men around you and disregarded in some ways. So let our eyes be open to that this is a reality of our society and has been for a long time. And now it's having a real opportunity to put some pain on some people.
Yeah. Man.
And so that needs to be put into action at some point to say, no, we're not going to let Doug Wilson's beliefs be legislated either through executive order or edict from Congress. We have to get active and say, no, we are against this. We are against IVF being outlawed. We are against mifepristone being disallowed from being mailed to women who need it. We disallowed trans women to be treated as third, fourth, fifth class citizens in our society, that all humans are created equal. I love the word the guy snuck in there, the atomization of society, the making everyone male. Not everyone deserves to be male.
I wasn't sure if that was ADAM or if it was ATOM, atomization, like if it was like getting to the granular individual. You know what I didn't know what that.
No,
was.
It's ADAM. It's
I see.
All of us are the same.
Fart.
We're not all the same. They use. You're surreptitiously flipping people off. They use women are certainly less strong than a man, so therefore they can't be a firefighter, is, bullshit. And he was in the interview, praising Pete Hegseth for ending, making everybody have to pass the same fitness test in the military.
So as I have been, it's just so interesting to me because this has really come up for me personally, as I mentioned earlier, in my mental health journey, understanding more and better the source of my mom's anger. And so in that's been like kind of a thread for me for 4 years. And now it's intersecting with this political and social era that we're living in. So I've been thinking about, every now and then I'll just try to imagine, what if the misogyny cultural bubble that we live in, what would it be like for that not to be here? What if you could just like snap your fingers? What would it feel like? What would you notice as being different? It is an interesting, I encourage people to try this, because the more I try it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, it is actually quite different. It is quite different than the world that I've grown up in and that I know right now. Just imagine the hypersexualization of women. Like, I understand why women would use sex and feminine powers, because it is the only thing in the history of man, it is the only thing that allowed a woman to have some power and agency. Okay. So of course you would lean into that, right? I was listening, Paul knows this, I've been obsessed with Beyonce's song Levi Jeans this week, because there's a Levi's commercial right now, this like super hottie, like taking off her jean shorts from the laundromat to the tune of this Levi's jeans. And I love the song. And it's Post Malone and Beyonce, and they performed it super. Like, I love the song. And it is really like, I mean, it is so sexual. And I'm like, how do I feel about the fact that this is, like it is so extreme on that end? And I'm kind of like, fuck yeah. I mean, like that has been the source of female power for a long time. So, hey, cool. But then as I think about, again, what if that was all just gone? Because, I kind of,
again, let me say on that too. And that's why you get rid of Roe v. Wade, because then it makes sex a real threat to the woman more so than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah. I think at this point, people don't calculate that. I do think back in the day, there was a back room where that was there were definitely men who were in on that. I don't think in this days, I do think sort of culture has shifted to like, no, it's just about don't kill babies. Anyway, but I hear your point on that.
I hear otherwise. I would push back on that.
Okay. All right. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have had power in my life because of my work-related performance. And, did I have to like show up dressed in a box suit and look like manly? No, I'm living in a different generation. I didn't have to do that. But I did have to present in a certain way to navigate through and around those blockades of misogyny. And like, what if I didn't have to do that? What if I didn't have to? Anyway, just imagine that men and women and others are like, literally there's no power differential at all. How would you feel? What would our culture and society be like? Right? It's kind of a mind-blowing thing, isn't it? When you think of it, that you start to see how influential this mindset is. You start to see all the places and ways in which it shows up.
So in talking about where do we go from here? So I think in a therapeutic journey, you start with understanding what happened. A sexual victim or a childhood trauma victim, first thing is like, this happened to you and it was wrong. That's the starting point. And so I do think there is, again, because we've been so socialized, we have to say, no, that his beliefs are objectively wrong. There is no equivocation on this. I mean, if he and his wife want to live that way, beautiful. But to try to impose this belief on a society is wrong. And so allow particularly women, queer people, this is happening to you is just a part of our society, and you get to recognize that. And then start this inner process of like, I am not going to live as if I deserve, or it's okay that I'm being treated this way. I'm going to live as if I deserve to be treated as important and valuable as anybody else in society. And I saw Sharon mention earlier in the chat here, the live stream, something about dirty cap. There's the Jezebel spirit and there's the baseball cap spirit. And maybe Sharon is referring to a video I did yesterday. And
no, she was talking about the dude, the first video that he was preaching in a baseball cap. So she's mocking him.
Yeah, that could be. I did a video yesterday about. I was out the other day and I had a dirty baseball cap guy giving me the side eye look, and it's like, am I going to let that guy, take me off my journey? But there is an admitting like, oh, that hurts. And I don't like that. And so I'm going to have to do work to rise above it. And I think that would be my recommendation of where we start is, you get to be mad. We might want to say, oh, no, don't be mad. It's okay. It's okay. But you get to be mad, but then determine that anger is a release from shame. It's a release from feeling like I deserve this, and a movement towards, I don't want to be treated this way, and I don't deserve to be treated this way.
And I think the healing journey. So I think in my lifetime, the way I've seen anger, sort of cultural anger, protest, this and that, expressed. There's obviously a time and a place for that. But I think I grew up thinking that a person would show anger to have that anger validated by somebody outside of themselves. And I think what I'm understanding is the healthy way to experience anger is to affirm that anger, to work with that part of me that is holding that anger, and like really, really be available for that anger, but know that that anger, its power and the resolution to the burden that part of me is carrying comes from me. In other words, if I'm waiting for, the steps of, the state, the steps of the nation's capital, and the moment where, to be my resolution, that's a lifetime journey. And obviously we have to keep at the work, but I can live in a space where I can process my own anger and I'm not dependent on another person validating me. Does that make sense?
Yes. And these are our conversations. I don't want to cut you off. I just want to make sure. I always am like, you get to be angry and you get to express it. And sometimes that expression, because what anger is, and in our society, we're taught, oh, anger bad. No, anger is a voice inside of you saying, this is not fair. This is an injustice occurring. And if the cognizant part of me isn't willing to stand up to this, then my emotional part is going to step up and say, no, this is not okay. And nobody gets to put a time limit on how long you need to process that. But then when you're ready, we can talk about really healthy ways to use that anger to start to live life in a different way. So
I agree. I'm saying this is maybe our topic for next week. I've spent a lifetime stuffing anger because what you said, it was like, that's so scary. No, anger bad. Be the good Christian woman.
Because you saw a lot of the explosive anger.
And I had it was a hellscape. So no to anger. And now I'm realizing, like, I'm embracing anger, and I'm realizing I get to process that. There is, to me, it's freeing to say, I don't have to wait for somebody else to, like, it's not like I have the power. I have the power. I get to feel the anger. I get to work with that part of me and get to the other side of it at my own pace. Totally agree. And I have the power to make decisions, to draw boundaries, and to live a life of freedom that anger is helping me find that path. And I don't have to, I mean, that is a now, that is a today. That is a not like, well, when the midterms come and we kick the bastards out of office, I don't have to be angry. I think that's a trap.
Yeah. And I think this is what we love about internal family systems therapeutic ideas, right? Like if you think about that anger inside of you as a person, as what if, think of a young child screaming out like, I don't like that I'm being treated this way. And I don't know what to do because I don't have any power to overcome it. Then, so if another part of you, an adult person comes and says, no, actually we do have agency. I know why you feel like we don't have agency because we didn't used to have agency, but now we're adults and we do. Then you can start to minister to that little person screaming about that injustice. And like you say, then have a renewed power. And yeah, maybe we need to do a whole show on that.
On anger.
Yeah.
I think we need to go.
You've got, I want to show a video that's a little bit off that topic. So do you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
No, I was just going to say, we need to go watch that cartoon movie where the emotions are like, you get to, what is that?
Get out or not. What is it? Not
Inside Out.
Inside Out. Inside Out.
We need to go watch Inside Out 1 and 2.
They're both so good.
And then we can talk about it on the show. Maybe that will be a future
So
assignment.
good.
Anyway.
I wanted to, you were talking about jeans, and one of the things right-wing.
Wait. Oh, denim jean, my Levi's Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things right-wing media is so good at is creating controversies that the left is losing their minds over these things when the rest of us who aren't in the echo chamber are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
and,
no one
and
cares
so
about
this
that.
is one of them. And I think you're going to love this because they're saying now that Trump is president, sororities are getting to dance. Isn't that amazing? And if you don't believe me, just watch.
Sorority rush dances are back. And just a reminder, if Kamala Harris would have won, this would be banned. Here we go.
So yeah, now sororities get to dance. And if you think that's like a crazy one-off, it's not. It is the created thing to scream about in right-wing media these days. Sororities have not been allowed to dance, but they can now that Donnie is president.
They start early down there. And one of the great American traditions for female college students is rushing a sorority. They don't do this in China. They don't do this in Russia. They don't do this in Namibia. They do it in America. And that should be okay. It should be okay to celebrate things that are uniquely American.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Ashley, you're a
all you have to
sorority
do,
person.
I am. I was the president of my sorority and like I'm telling you, I've done all the things. I was the head cheerleader at Fresno State. I was the president of the Kappa Kappa Gamma, for God's sake, chapter of a California university. All you'd have to do is pull a video of, people dancing at Kamala Harris is a sorority girl, pull a video from her day in college of people dancing. What the frick is this about? Now, I will tell you, the Greek system in general, there's been so much nastiness, drug abuse, sex. There's the sorority and fraternity system, they're nonprofits, like they have a ton of risk issues. And maybe they're talking about the fact that rush. People die on college campuses during rush week, so there has been some crackdown on that over decades. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I don't know. I don't get it.
He explicitly said, remember, if Kamala Harris was president, this would be banned.
Yeah.
It's such a created crisis. And I can see, when I was a kid, Christians would have been like, oh, those women dancing half naked, how horrible is that?
Yeah.
They should be
that's women. Absolutely. That's more likely to have come from like the religious right than the liberal left.
But now they're like, oh, we can dance again. And, so part of your thing on the Cowboy Carter thing is the American Eagle jeans ad with Sydney Sweeney in very sexual poses saying, my jeans are blue. Jeans are where you get your hair color, and my jeans are blue. And it really is a problematic ad, but I don't think anybody's really throwing a massive fit about it. But the right is like, liberals are liberal tears are all over the place about Sydney Sweeney, and again, it's this, when it's useful, but there will be a moment when Sydney Sweeney's no longer useful to the right,
Yeah,
and they will vilify her as a Hollywood elite, So don't let yourself be the frog in the pot who says, well, it's not that
It's not
bad.
benign.
This is the way it is.
It's not benign.
Not okay.
Just maybe that's it. Just notice it.
Yeah.
It's not okay. Doesn't mean we're, all racing out to burn down institutions. Just notice it. It's not okay. And I believe in individual people like making that decision on their own and then coming together. I mean, I'll spare you the whole 1,000 points of light speech I'm about to make. But I do think individual people changing their minds about things is the way this ultimately gets undermined.
Yeah, and I talk about rethinking a lot. So let's take Jezebel and just spend some time rethinking her this week. The history was written by a people that want her to be vilified. But what if she was a victim given as a trophy to her husband as a very small child, and she turned out to be a total fucking badass? And people who wanted to protect a patriarchal system had to paint her as evil because they didn't want women to grow up and be badasses.
Because she exercised influence.
Yeah.
Because she was independent, exercised control, and was dominant.
Yeah.
But I want to use that as a segue, and I know we got to wrap up. So I think Dan McClellan has been very helpful in informing, like you were watching some of his explanation of this, and like we were going to reach out to Dan to see if he would join us this morning. Didn't get around to it, but hopeful that maybe he'll join us at an upcoming show. And then I think you've got a few other folks starting to line up. So the summer of just falling out. Like all I'm trying to say is we probably are going to start having a few more guests here and there, and like kind of get back to some of that as we have time and capacity to get people booked.
Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing before we go. This is a little bit freaky. I was working with AI to try to make a little advertisement for my Substack and my collective blog. Check this out.
Substack is here. The new Substack is here. You heard it. Unconventional Pastor Paul has a new Substack page, and you don't want to miss it.
It's where I'm sharing daily, deep thoughts, prayers, and insightful content, where the manhood of God is being stolen.
Where Charlie Kirk can finally learn what a woman is.
And a monster at the door can be monstrously beautiful and powerful.
If that's not enough, you can read my political blog on the Collective website, where we believe in the power of independent media to challenge oppression and fight fascism.
Sacred Rebellion and the Collective, live inspired as we journey into this 21st century spirituality together.
Oh, the people listening on audio don't know what they're missing.
I kind of love that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Those are all static pictures that AI has taken and made animated.
Made the mouths move. Huh.
Isn't that
so
wild?
Impressive?
All right. On that note, do sign up for my Substack. It's really good, and do go check out thecollective.com. QUOLLECTIVE. I'll put it in the show notes as well. I'm writing some good stuff there these days, so you want to check it out.
I like to call it the Qualective.
Qualective?
Yeah.
That helps people to know what the spelling is.
To know how to spell it, exactly.
The Qualective. It's
you know what? If we were like a super polished show right now, our outtake song would be Levi Jeans by Beyonce. And we'd be like, you're a pretty little thing.
And we'd get a copyright ding by YouTube, but
oh shoot, we sure would. Okay. All right. One.
All right.
can dream.
Love you all. Thanks for hanging with us this
Have
morning.
a great week, everybody. See you soon.
Bye-bye.